to the Bronzie Breakdown, episode 4. And once again, here with Temporary Maniac or Lake, and with Pendlehaven, Pendle, and I, of course, am Daisy, and the spirit, the unfortunate coastal ghost of Panda, is also with us today.
In spirit.
Thank you, Panda. Anyways, so what we are
Pour it out
going
for the homies.
what we're going to go ahead and kind of chew about today is everyone's favorite topic. I mean, everyone's favorite topic ever in the history of all esports. TSM, the single greatest organization to ever grace League of Legends.
I
The
was going to
organization
say
who gets chants at all events, even if they're nowhere near.
Exactly.
LCS's eventual meltdown.
uh, so I guess let's see. Do you want to just like recap for everyone the tumultuous, I guess, past 6-8 months for about 8 months actually, isn't it, for TSM?
Like that, yeah.
Because
Six to
Bjergsen,
eight.
Yeah, I'm
Bjergsen,
trying to remember
when
who
did
started it.
well, because it
Who-
started when Bjergsen left.
Yeah,
Because
but
after
who came
Bjergsen
out?
left, then it was Double Lift.
Yeah, I think Double Lift said something.
was talking on stream because it was after Lena left too.
Yeah,
'Cause Lena and
because there
Double
was a
Lift are
lot
together.
of there was a lot of controversy with them when he was on TSM.
Well, because he was still on TSM as a streamer until Lena left, and then he started talking, and then he parted ways with TSM.
Yeah. Well, he was like, I'm sure it was more he chose the right ways, but he was also like forced out as well because
Yeah. I mean, like once you start like crap talking your org, it's over. Like I don't think there's any way he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna tell the CEO that I think he's a pile of crap, and then he's just gonna keep me in the org. I don't think there was any delusion that was gonna occur.
True. Ooh.
But I don't think he wanted to say anything until at the very least, the person that he was romantically involved with was gone from the organization.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when people kind of found out about Double Lift and her, there was already questions getting arise, even when he was a pro player. So they were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, no. There was a lot of stuff about that one where
Yeah.
somebody's
Well, I
streaming,
mean,
somebody's
yeah.
talking about deals with players,
Right.
and
Maybe I mean, there
some
was
things
even
are leaked that shouldn't have been
controversy.
leaked.
There was even controversy with Bjergsen being a pro player and owning a percentage of TSM.
Well, yeah. But I mean, that was true for a number of other pro players too. Sneaky was one of them. In fact, in just in general, Cloud9 players
Did Sneaky
tended to have stock options. Yeah,
I didn't know
they had
that.
stock options in the team.
I wonder if because it was Bjergsen is why it got more of a ruffled feather over like Sneaky
maybe.
and Medios and all them.
Because it was true with High. It was true like a bunch of people were given stocks in their own team, but the stock didn't mean anything. It was like
True.
It was like basically pretending to give you something of value to pad out the.
Because a lot of the teams, like when they first got created, like it was just a name that got you on stage. It wasn't a part of anything else. It didn't get anywhere essentially. And then you had all these teams start branching out into other esports, and then all the deals and stuff that like TSM has made with cryptocurrency and then that's when it starts popping up of issues with what they're getting paid and how much extra they're getting because of stocks and decisions because they're part owners and if their integrity is pretty much their integrity was on the line.
Yeah, which I mean,
as a pro player,
I get that for most people. For Bjergsen, that really kind of boggles my mind.
Right.
And
Which I wonder if that was another potential reason that he stopped playing and decided to be a coach.
I don't think so. I honestly think that, and so I guess yeah, it was end of 2020 when they had their 0-6 Worlds. Like
Yeah.
you kind of have to wonder, like, because let's be real, Bjergsen hard carried that team into Worlds. That playoffs.
Yeah.
Double Lift wasn't really performing. Broken Blade was doing okay. Um, and Spica was all right in the jungle. Bifrost was doing okay at support. But they were about to get absolutely dumpstered by C9. Bjergsen pulls off the Akali flank, and then it's just over.
Yeah. Dude, I felt bad for who was it for supports that just CLG and TSM just kept handing him back and forth. Biofrost and who?
Was it Smoothie at first?
Might have been.
Yeah,
I don't. It was. I felt so bad for the supports. Like every single. It seemed like every split or every year, it was just TSM and CLG handshaking, saying, "Okay, you can have him back. Okay, we'll take him back. Okay, here you go." And it just screws your momentum or team synergy that you potentially had going. Especially with like the rough years that they were having. And in CLG, with just the constant downfalls during that time frame too, it was just so bad in my opinion. Just keep swapping the supports like that.
So let's go ahead, but and just say, like, right, they, for whatever reason, Bjergsen decides coaching. He'd rather go and coach. And it's a side that he has never known really that much about within the game. And so, they realized that this was going to be a learning year for him.
Yep.
And so they bring in other coaching staff and whatnot to help him out with this.
Well, and they also brought over like Power of Evil.
Yep, they got Power of Evil for mid lane, which he was probably the best mid laner that they could have actually gotten on the market. So you look at that, that's good.
Yeah.
Spica was
he
played really, really well that year.
Consistency.
They were really comfortable with him staying, even though like he really had a terrible Worlds performance. I mean, it's what it is. Broken Blade also stayed. They were building around Broken Blade.
I thought that was when Huni came over.
No.
Was
Broken
Huni
Blade
after?
was with it. Yeah. Huni was
after Bjergsen left, or was it?
Yes, Huni was after. Wait, wasn't Huni after Bjergsen left?
I'm pretty sure they had Broken Blade. Did they have Sword Art at the time?
They got Sword Art for their bot lane. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no! It had to be Huni, right?
Yeah, I believe it was Huni that was top lane, not
yeah. Because Broken Blade.
BB went to Schalke
in Europe.
Yeah, he went to Schalke.
Yeah. Never mind. You're right. So it was Huni, because Huni was a resident by then.
Yeah.
That allowed them to.
And then they had Sword Art, but that's also when Double Lift.
But they brought in
I'll stay.
Kave?
He's like, I'll stay if you can get, the support. And then they lied, and they're like, yeah, we won't get him, so he retires. And then they're like, we get him.
AD? Yeah, who was the AD that they brought in?
It was a rookie.
2020 was Lost.
It was Lost. Okay, so it was
Lost
there.
Sword Art,
so
right?
Lost to Sword Art.
So PoE, Sword Art, Lost.
Spica Huni.
Spica and Huni. Okay.
So it's like he got a couple veterans. Granted, you don't know how they were at the time or how they had respect for Bjergsen, but how much respect did they have for him as a coach?
Well, I mean, even then, right? Let's say you have respect for Bjergsen. He's still new to coaching. He's going to be learning under other coaches, right? Like what his eventual coaching style, or what he eventually finds to be effective, right? Like this is his first year. They build this team out, and to be fair, people looked at the team at the time and said,
it's not half bad.
It's not terrible, but like realistically, by roster, this should be a middle of the pack team.
Yeah, it's like beer fest. I'm not that drunk, you know.
Exactly. Like it's not that bad, you know. But like it was the big question marks that people had for analysts at the time was like Hooney, for instance, was a big
Huge
question mark.
Huge
Because
question mark.
he had come to prominence as a dominant top laner.
Yes.
Your jungler plays through. If he gets stuff, oh man, he's just gonna pop off.
Yeah, who was he with? Who was he with
Echo
before
Fox?
TSM? Was it Echo Fox?
He was with EG for the summer split.
Oh, he was with the EG for the summer split.
Then
Before that, I thought he was
Dignitas and then Clutch
Dignitas
Gaming.
and then Clutch. Echo Fox was
Echo.
way earlier. Yeah. Okay.
Echo was right after
Echo
he
then
left
Clutch.
SKT.
Clutch was the last time I think that people said that he would still be the one to carry games. Was when he with Clutch. He was with Clutch when was it when Febin was there, or was it after?
Let's see. With Clutch, let me take a look.
I want to say it was when Febin was there.
So Clutch Gaming 2018 to 2019.
Yeah, 2018 was Febin.
2018 was Demonte.
Demonte.
Because 2018 Febin sent TSM
Nope, there he was.
in the first
yep,
round.
there he is. Started 17, left November 18. Yep. So him and Demonte were both mid laners that season.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shared the mid lane.
And then it shifted to Demonte for the next year.
Yes, and Febin went back to EU and then fell off the face of Europe,
which,
unfortunately.
To be fair, I kind of feel bad for. I know we talked about TSM, but I kind of feel bad for Demonte. Like,
yeah, I do too.
He did decent. Maybe a little bit of extra coaching, and he would have been up there. But
yeah,
but
I don't know.
Yeah. So Biocean had a relatively
it was a decent roster.
team.
The best
he could
player
work with.
he had realistically on that team was Pika.
Yeah.
PoE was seen as a control mage expert with
his Ori.
The occasional unorthodox picks that were like counter picks.
Well, also unorthodox builds.
Yes. Which sometimes work out, sometimes did really not work out.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the one who did the Nash's Oriana?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But his Ori was also considered to be one of the best, at the very least in the West at the time. So anyways, though, they finish second, I believe, in spring. Yeah, they finished second in spring through playoffs. They nearly won and went to MSI.
Was it 100 Thieves?
Liquid. Pretty sure.
This has been back and forth between Liquid and 100 Thieves.
Because I don't think it was.
Yeah, 100 Thieves wasn't that.
Because 100 Thieves won summer. They didn't win spring, I don't think. Pretty sure it was Liquid with.
Probably. I mean, that was really far back too. 100 Thieves really didn't start taking over until like a year or two ago. I think it was like 2020 is when 100 Thieves really started. Honestly, when they got Papa Smithy in there.
Oh no, because initially they were still.
Their breakout season was good,
bad.
but because it was like the huge tank, just fucking everybody brawled each other.
Yeah.
And they stayed relevant, and then it was like the next season where it was like, what
it
happened to 100 Thieves?
It was. Well, I just know that it was when they changed away
Has
from.
it really been that long? When the hell did 100 Thieves enter the freaking?
It was last year when they won.
No, when they entered LCS.
When they entered LCS was 4 years ago, I think. It was 2016 when the franchising happened. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
See, first formed in April 2016, but disbanded in July of the same year. Came back together in 2017 and joined the LCS for the 2018 season.
Damn, it's been 4 fucking years of 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
I guess it was 2017 when franchising actually officially came through.
Their re-entry was funded by Dan Gilbert of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they were partnered with the Cavs.
And they bought a spot from somebody. I think.
It's very possible, but
because I think we had a team that was there that is no longer. But either way, though, right? So, but they do well in spring. In summer, they finish upper half of the table. Spica is considered to be, or he does get MVP for summer split. He's considered to be probably the best jungler in the region.
Yeah.
And TSM unfortunately doesn't make it to Worlds. Now during this time, when they're in playoffs, they go to losers bracket, they're having this this struggle where they just could not get anything done top side of the map, and Lost and Sword Art were repeatedly dying in the bottom side of the map. I believe it was Reginald was TSM's CEO is having dinner with another portion of staff, and there's a tweet that comes out, and it's like, man, Reggie says, that if he was coaching the team, for sure this would be first place. Like, it wouldn't even be close. Which is basically, and this is before like the season's over, and before the playoffs have concluded, and he's basically just flaming his franchise player turned coach in his first year of the coaching role. And then during Worlds, Bjergsen decides, I'm gonna go play. I want to go play, and TSM approaches him with rosters and offers, and he's like, I'm gonna go see what my options are. And he decides to go with another team altogether. He just leaves the org that he has devoted basically his entire career to. I think it was 1 year with Copenhagen Wolves, and then everything else was TSM. And he's gone. Shortly after that, a couple other people leave the org. Number one being Lena, who was their general manager, I think? No. Was she president? She may have been the president.
So Bjergsen was with Ninja in Pajamas before he joined TSM.
It was Ninjas in Pajamas? Because I thought it was Copenhagen
he
Wolves.
was.
He was with
Ninjas. It was before that. He was with Western Wolves Team LDLC, Copenhagen Wolves Ninja in
Right,
Pajamas.
but when LEC came out, or the EU LCS, he wasn't old enough to join.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was from 2012 2013, so he was in the EU for a year before coming over to TSM.
Yeah, yeah. So he was there for a year. It was Deficio's team that he was with, actually.
Good old Deficio.
And see, now that's got me thinking other stuff. I gotta just like ignore that and keep moving. Otherwise, I'm gonna get super sidetracked. You're a jerk for that. But as soon as Lena had left the organization, on stream, Doublelift really just starts lighting into TSM the org. Now, mind you, he is a TSM streamer at the time.
Yes.
So this is a guaranteed going to be, I'm fired, this is done. There's no doubt that this is what this is. But that's what he does. And
Which, I mean, to be fair, it's one of the, like, and then he was trying to call out teammates to back him up. Like, yo,
Yeah.
like he was an idiot. He was rude. He was a jackass. Like, back me up. And it was like the people that were pros for TSM seemed split. Like some of
Yes.
them were like, nah, he wasn't that bad. He was just being,
But a lot of them were like the really old guard, people like Wild Turtle and such.
yeah, and like the odd one and
Yeah.
shit like that. And people were like, oh no, he was good. And then the other people were like, yeah, he was a fucking asshole. And it's like it was
Sword Art, I think,
50-50.
was one of them. Sword Art was one of the ones that Double Lift was trying to defend in saying how he was traded by Reggie specifically.
Okay,
And then a few other people were
Art,
talking out.
Sword Art, was he there for just one split, or was it for the year?
No, he was there for the year. He was there for the full year.
And then they just dipped on him, and it's like,
oh yeah. It was over. It was brutal, dude. They paid him the most that anyone has, that a player has been paid in League, at least at the time, because they wanted a core JJ effect. Is what they wanted. And it did not happen. It just didn't come to fruition. And part of it's because they just didn't understand Sword Art style, for one. So like, he wasn't paired well for it. And it's a number of issues, I guess.
yeah.
But yeah. So allegedly, several players say that he just would sit there and dog on them. Just like berate them to the point that they could not emotionally hold up. And he would do this a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of people cite previous portions of Reggie's career that were well documented on film, where he's just like going off on somebody, like super going off. And the thing is that Reggie doesn't sit there and yell, right? He doesn't sound like a belligerent coach or something,
No, I mean there are videos.
He's loud
of him, yeah.
But the way he talks is so matter of fact. In the dude bro voice that he has, that like, you just sit there going, man, like this is really what he thinks of me. This guy is actually just like shredding me with everything that he's doing.
Yeah.
And he just goes in and he doesn't stop. And if someone says something, then he goes in on them too. He does it, but maybe it's worse because he's not yelling.
Well, and he's also like very finger pointy.
Oh, he's always been finger pointing.
Yeah.
Horrifically finger pointing.
Just constantly attacks everybody. Even if it was like his fault, he would be like, well, no, if you didn't do this, then this wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. It is, I don't know. I don't know enough about I don't know anything about him on a personal level. So like, I couldn't attest to anything specifically along those lines. But let's just say that regardless, it was kind of split and things just didn't look good. You had a bunch of owners coming out and vouching for Reggie. You had some players vouching for Reggie. Then you had a lot of people as well that were trying to stay anonymous, trying to jab back at him, and Double Lift was just like 100% against him, just boom, during this period of time. And so, a bunch of jabs back and forth. But the allegations, the league felt were serious enough to say that, hey, we need an investigation about this to find out what's going on.
So the funny thing is, they also knew about it. In that statement where they're like, okay, we're going to investigate TSM, we've also heard of these allegations before.
Yes.
It's getting to the point where it's like, one, I am not a fan of cancel culture. I've always been raised as a, innocent until proven guilty. And it's like I'm not saying they should have immediately done something, but it's like they should have done something. Like maybe just
I
a
mean,
couple interviews with some players just to make sure what they're hearing is correct. If it's like rumors from like other teams, or if it's like people that left, talk to a couple of the players that are still on the roster. And then if they're like, oh, there's some issues every now and then it's like, okay, we'll do kind of a behind the
right.
scenes investigation. Don't wait until it becomes a huge fucking issue.
Well, I mean, but to be fair, like here's part of the problem with the whole thing, and this is why there wasn't anything defined before this whole thing came about, anyways. Because if he was like sexually harassing people, if he was physically abusing people, that would be one thing. Verbal abuse is like way different,
Yeah, it's the hardest
and
thing to prove.
it's not just the hardest thing to prove. You have to figure out what constitutes verbal abuse in the first place, and it's not something that usually comes up, especially when you're talking. I mean, essentially, they're modeling themselves after sports organization. Like, how many sports organizations say, "Well, our coach verbally abused us," right?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like, "Well, yeah, of course he did." Like, have you heard? Have you heard coaches? Of course he
Yeah.
did. And if you didn't win, he didn't verbally abuse you hard enough. It's kind of been the thought and the approach. You either have the ones that are in your face all the time, or you have the ones that are a bit more laid back on stuff like that, and they have a different approach to players. But you have a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B in regards to standard sports. So it's the only reason this came up is because uh, enough of a stink was raised about it.
Yes.
Otherwise, I still think there would be no actual stance on verbal abuse within the league. And the problem is that, like, sports players in general, you get used to in high school. I was definitely ready for verbal abuse, right? Once you're in organized sports, you kind of have to either you're ready for it or you just give up. You don't really have a bunch of leeway there. In esports, it's way different, man. It's way different. I mean, the vast majority of these players have never had to deal with this in their life. Not a single time. And it hits different. It really does. If you're not used to it and this kind of stuff comes out, it's way different. And you combine that with the fact that it would seem as though Reggie doesn't seem to understand how to be constructive as he's dressing someone down, or even why he's dressing someone down. That also layers into it. If that's the case. It's like this is why, like, the cover up that they're doing for it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
But I suppose it just has to do with where the climate is. Like, again, for real though, if this was a soccer team or a baseball team or a football team, if the coach was sitting there cussing out players to the point that they were crying, so what? A guy can't take it. Like, this is a professional stage. He's got to get up there and perform. And that would be how that's seen, how that's promoted. I can guarantee you that it's partially because of the climate. And I don't mean that as a derogatory remark towards the players, because again, it's clear that Reggie's not putting like a bunch of thought into why he's doing it. He's just doing it. If that's the case. Because if it doesn't get the results that you're expecting it to get, then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this at all, Pendle?
No, you're kind of summing up everything I was thinking as you were saying it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like I said, it just feels like if this were a standard sports team, this would never be something that was really talked about until you have like a documentary later on, the legend Reginald. But not everyone was happy with Reggie. And then they just have like that one guy.
The whole middle
Sometimes
section.
Sometimes at practice, he would like pants the guy that had the points nearest him, and then we'd all mock him. It'd be weird crap like that people would release a lot in documentaries.
Mm.
And that's what this it feels like. This would be like one of those footnotes as to he was great, but he wasn't a good person. So I don't know. Like the issue is weird for me, but if they're gonna pretend to take it seriously, then they should actually take it seriously. Both the LCS and TSM.
I know that apparently the TSM's internal investigation ended just the other day.
Yes. And
Pretty
do you know
much
who
saying-
released it? Do you know who released the statement?
Yeah.
It wasn't TSM. It was released through Andy's Twitter.
Yeah.
Through Reginald's Twitter.
Yeah, it was. That doesn't seem sus as hell, does it?
It's like it was an independent investigation created by a subdivision, or basically a sub board from the board of directors.
Yeah.
And they came back and they found out that I wasn't, basically that I wasn't sexually
guilty.
harassing. Well, I wasn't sexually harassing people, right? And I wasn't, being discriminatory. It's like, yeah, that's great, but that's not what they were complaining about. It's like, and I may have called people worthless or trash a couple times. Okay. And I should work on communicating more effectively. All right, like get out of the buzzwords, dude.
My favorite
this is
thing
some
was
bullshit.
my favorite thing of the whole thing was his initial response was, "I just have high expectations of everyone."
Yeah. And then he starts flexing afterwards. It was so weird, man.
Which
But, like-
a lawyer wrote that statement for him.
Oh, yeah,
No way
for
in
sure.
hell did he write it?
No. Reginald, I don't think Reginald could construct a sentence of anything that was there. I don't think he can construct any of those sentences.
Especially since he's trying to
By
say
himself.
he needs to improve something.
Yeah.
He did not write that.
No,
The Imam
no way in hell.
says no. Oh man.
So this is completely off topic, and I thought it was hilarious.
Huh.
Bjergsen, I guess there were two different Chinese sayings for him, and the sayings translate to principal of the orphanage, and the other one is a god with 4 wards. It says respectively due to the perception that he is the one to carry his team.
The God with 4
Okay, I
wards.
like that one. The god with 4
Because we were
wards.
talking about his world's performance, and I'm like, this fits. This.
Okay, so I will say, by the way, that I need to see that now instead of let's see, the Hindu god with the multiple arms, instead of just Bjergsen with 2 arms and like multiple wards coming out of his body.
And what's really funny is underneath that, in the 2020 summer playoff game against Golden Guardians,
Yeah.
he had 22
yes,
of
yes.
the 25 bans were targeted against him,
Yes.
and he still was awarded
Yes.
player of that series.
Yes.
So, a god with 4 wards, man. Which I guess principal of
the
the
sad thing-
orphanage is a
It
painting.
makes it also makes sense with how much the roster besides him changed over those years.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I mean,
and I guess it's a painting, and it says the orphanage principal is a unusual guest in the dance of death.
it's so weird, man.
So he's gonna
So
kill you,
weird.
and he's gonna see you at all times because of all the wards he has. He's gonna join in the
wild.
dance of death, and you're never gonna know.
That's not one of the creepiest paintings I've seen in a while.
Right.
That's so wild. I just like him, the God with 4 words. I'm gonna keep that one. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And then
Um,
what's super crazy, I didn't know this. I knew his Zillion was like super stupid
yeah,
strong, right?
yeah,
He's a 25-10 record on Zillion
yes,
and a 10.17 KDA.
yeah. The thing is, right, that even those games that were there, were a number of those games that were lost with the Zillion, that you just look and go, wow, his team just crumpled. Like it didn't matter what Bjergsen could do, his team just fucking crumpled.
It's just like, what the?
It's astonishing. It's astonishing to see, but like really though, and this is part of the reason why I was actually really surprised that during the playoffs they weren't willing to play the Zillion. I I don't understand why. He looked so lackluster on so many picks. Like you just feel like he always has impact on Zillion. He knows how to impact team fights. He knows how to impact side lanes with that champion.
Yeah. Who knows? Coaches, right? I mean,
I mean, maybe.
G2 likes to bag on their coach and losing in the draft all the time, so.
Yeah, and that's great, but like, I mean, you've got to negotiate with your players, and uh, maybe if we get to C9 later, I'll go over that in a little bit more detail too. But you've got to be able to negotiate with your players as to where picks are, because sometimes they're just not willing to play something that you think is good or that would be good. They're just not willing to play it. They're not comfortable on it. And if you force them to play it, if they lose, they'll say, "See, the pick was the problem," and they will not budge on that.
Yeah. But with TSM, it's just
Yeah,
it's so tough. I think as a pro too, for all this stuff to be coming out and you're getting like picked up to play for and you're just having issues left and right as far
yeah.
as the team goes for records, and it's just like, what do you do as a pro at that point?
I don't know, because like here's the thing, right? So Bjergsen leaves the team now. For me and a number of other fans, when Bjergsen left the team, because I was a TSM fan from season 2 onward, because I didn't really even know there was such a thing as professional gaming in season 1. So like I didn't pay any attention to all that crap. Season 2, I started paying attention because it like caught my eye when one of my friends said something. Then we were watching Worlds, and the infamous uh, looking at the screen incident happened. You're like, oh my god, they were robbed, even though they probably would have lost the series even if it hadn't happened.
Debatable, but
I mean, I'm gonna go based off of game 1, where no lookies had occurred. The likelihood was that they were gonna lose. There was the likelihood. Didn't mean they had no chance, but after that I was like, okay, yeah, TSM, hip hip hooray. And then they brought in Bjergsen, and man, when Bjergsen came in, it was really cool to see someone that was that dominant within his role. Because again, this was, I don't know about like watching Korean League of Legends or anything along those lines. So seeing those VODs or watching Faker and such, that was not something I paid any attention to. I guess actually, wait, hold on. It was season 3 though, wasn't it? Was it season 3 when SKT came in, or was it season 2?
shit, I just watched the thing the other day and I forgot
I'm pretty sure it was season 3 that SKT came
when
in, that Faker came in.
SKT started winning.
Because it was season 2, I'm pretty sure, when Taipei Assassins won.
Season 3, it looks like.
Season 3 is when Faker came in and joined SKT.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it was Season 2.
Baker, was it
I questioned
Benji,
myself for a second.
Piglet,
Yep.
Impact, and
Impact and
Pumandu.
Pumandu, yeah.
Yeah, because SKT bought a roster spot.
Yeah, they bought it from Eat Sleep Game.
Yeah, and then Faker just, crapped all over everybody. But yeah, so like Bjergsen was the whole reason I liked TSM. And then when Bjergsen was gone, I just didn't care. It's like, maybe they'll be able to make it. Maybe they'll be able to make it work. So they had that whole deal where Reggie was getting lambasted, and they were trying to build back around. It would have been Hooney. They were keeping Hooney. They were keeping Spica, and they were getting rid of the rest of the team. And they were going to bring in
Yeah,
two
PoE left.
Chinese. Yeah, they were bringing in 2 Chinese players, and they were bringing back. Why I cannot think of his name. Former Team Liquid AD carry,
Lost.
not Lost.
Or not, I don't know why I said lost. Tactical.
Tactical, yeah. So they brought back Tactical, who used to be on their academy squad. And they were hands down the worst performing team through I guess definitely the first half of the split. They were
I mean, it didn't get
abysmal.
any better the second half of the split. I mean, they
They
ended
did.
5
They
and
got
13.
they got a little bit better because they literally had won one game in the first half. They didn't go winless. They went 1-8, I think. It was a terrible thing though. Like you just watch it and go, yeah, nope. That's not the look, Chief. And Spica went from being the MVP to being on a last place team.
Yeah. For 2021.
Yeah. It was pretty bad though. It was pretty darn bad. And then they were firing coaches, dropping players down, shifting roster around. Fingers were being pointed. A number of people were just leaving the org, including someone that had been there for so many years. Parth Naidu also left.
And to top
Yeah,
it off, that was the
left this
year
year.
that they made that $1 billion deal with cryptocurrency.
Yeah, FTX. Yep.
And then they fucking
Yeah, it went downhill so fast. This year, in one split, like they squandered all goodwill that had been pushed their way before. And yeah, I don't know. It's, oh god, dude, it's rough. They're in a horrible spot. And now that they're in a terrible spot, thankfully, this clearly independent, unbiased investigation resulted in basically no issues of misconduct by Reginald. Good to know. It's good to know they're in good hands with Reggie. I think universally the takes have been just that this is a joke. It's just a joke.
Just a bit.
yeah.
And that the actual issues that were being brought up have still not been addressed and are probably never going to be addressed. There's a basic report that doesn't really say anything, that allows them to say that we did investigation and everything's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it'll be good to. This is good news for people that want to crap on TSM. This is really good news for people that just want to continue to crap on TSM, because I will wager that their summer split probably goes a touch better, but is overall going to be really bad.
We'll see, because they shuffled the roster again a bit.
Yep.
Though they did sign a well-known mid laner
They
from
did.
the LMS.
They did.
Yeah, that'll be next week.
Good
Yep.
old Maple.
And we know how that's probably going to go.
Yep.
But I will say that if anything, though, this does prove one thing. I don't think Bjergsen was the problem in TSM. A lot of people had theorized that Bjergsen was the only piece that didn't change, so maybe Bjergsen was the problem with the team. Then he moves to coach, and Bjergsen's still there, so maybe Bjergsen's the problem. Bjergsen left. TSM got way worse when Bjergsen left.
ESM still has a problem.
TSM still has a problem. I don't think it was Bjergsen. And their biggest brand on the team, the one that was synonymous with TSM,
I think
was
we're getting
Bjergsen, and he's gone.
Some of our seasons confused.
How?
The 2021 season, that was when Bjergsen was coaching, right? He retired.
Yeah.
Coaching. They went
He
12
retired
and 6.
ended 2020.
They went 12 and 6 in 2021.
Yeah, I was saying they went badly this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, you mentioned the whole FTX thing, which was in 2021.
Yeah,
everything else we were talking about was in 2022. I just didn't want to correct you on it. I was gonna let it fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. The FTX deal was in
Yeah,
I guess
year he
end of
took
2020,
over as coach.
year 2021. Yeah. So, but no,
Well,
everything
because I was
talking
thinking
about
we were
2022.
talking about 2021 because they brought Tactical in 2021. So
No,
I
they
was
didn't.
like, okay, we're talking about 2021.
No, Tactical was still in Liquid in 2021. They brought him in
When they sent Hans down
when
this
they
year.
sent when they. Well, no, they didn't send Hans.
When they signed Hans.
Oh, signed, yes. Yeah, they let go of Tactical after Worlds last year. Liquid did. So Tactical got brought in this year to play alongside Bika, Huni, and the 2 Chinese imports. I was just talking about this past split. Because Tactical was let go as an academy player when Doublelift came over.
Tactical joined TSM November
he
2021.
Yeah, that was after the season was done. After Worlds was done.
Worlds wasn't in November.
I'm saying it was after Worlds was finished, though.
You mean after the season was over?
Didn't Liquid go to Worlds? Or am I thinking that?
He joined November 2021. Worlds was not in November, was it?
Worlds was over by then.
Yeah, it was over by then. That's what I was saying.
Because the summer split ends in like July, and then Worlds goes from the end of August through the start of October. Usually.
Yeah.
Some layover maybe, but
Yeah, no, it was after Liquid had finished their full season. Like after Worlds and everything was over.
yeah.
because then that was when they signed
TSM has
Hansa.
changed way too many fucking people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they have. But yeah, the long and short of it is that they are, I don't know, there's a lot of problems with the organization, and I don't know how any of that gets solved. I don't think it matters now whether Reginald's there or not. They've lost so much actual team infrastructure in terms of personnel that I don't know what they have now.
Yeah, looking at the roster, it's woo.
So I
After
don't know.
MSI roster. Oh my god.
I thought we'd have more to talk about with CSM, but just it's depressing.
Well, usually you gotta talk about Cloud9.
Yeah. Well, I think we're just gonna go to Cloud9. It's
no reason not
It's
to.
honestly a more frustrating topic than the TSM one.
I think
but
it's more frustrating because of the opportunities.
Yeah. So, Pendle, you want to go over kind of like basic timeline for this past split? Because I know this started. Yeah. This started tail end of last year.
All right, so let's start off with. I'm going to start off with the signing of LS, because that was probably the biggest news we've gotten in NA for a while.
Yes.
That was in December of last year.
Which was in December. Everyone was looking forward to seeing him come in. He's great at counter picking.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great analyst in general.
Very unique in his takes.
Yes.
We
saw the return of Enchanter mids while he came in.
This was also like Cloud9 blew up their roster.
Yes, they did.
They let go of Perks. Fudge moved from top to mid. I don't know who their AD carry was at the time, but
Sven was their AD carry. He
he
went to the academy roster.
Yeah, and because that was when he got kicked to the academy roster because they didn't think that he was, playing to play. All right,
Let's see. They had Blabber in the jungle.
Yep.
They had Sven and Vulcan in bot.
Yeah.
And they let go of Vulcan.
Yeah.
And they had Isles and Winsome for the year that switched on and off.
Oh, yeah, well, Winsome's the one that they signed, but they signed him when they signed 2 Koreans, because Winsome didn't take up an import slot. He could speak Korean and he could speak English.
Right. So they sign a big name from the Korean League community.
Mm-hmm.
While he was well known in NA, he was big there. As you said, they moved Blabber to mid in the off season.
Not Blabber.
Fudge. Fudge, which he did okay. That's the majority of my drama I got was then that within 3 weeks of the LCS or of LS being in NA,
2 months.
They cut him.
2 months. He left in February.
So C9 played lock-in with not their roster because
effectively
LS
their academy roster.
And,
because they were stuck in Korea. Yeah, forgetting.
Fudge did play mid.
Visa issues.
Visa issues. But they did make it in just in time for the first week of the season. The big thing that had been promoted by Cloud9 was that they were fully signing over this team to LS. Because LS is a controversial figure in that he's been a coach many times. And it never worked out well for a number of different reasons. Then he was offered and accepted the head coaching position at SKT.
That was the year before? When was that?
It would have been the year before. Pretty sure.
Yeah, the year before.
The issue came down to there was a huge outcry from people in Korea that said that he was racist. He was anti-Korean. And the reason why they say that is because he had defended a friend of his named Malice, who'd said something at least off color. I don't know exactly what was said because I didn't go through and dig up those tweets or what have you. But he defended him before seeing the statement. He apologized afterwards, and bunch of drama there. But he had to relinquish his dream job of the head coaching position at SKT.
Yeah. So real quick, while we're talking about his coachings and stuff, these are really fucking sad, dude.
Yeah.
So his first coaching one, a month and like a month and a half. Next one, a month. Next one, 5 months. Next one, 28 days, 20 days, 3 months, 6 months, 1 day. 5 months, 5.5 months with BBQ. 24 days.
It was a full split with BBQ.
As a coach with like some unconfirmed roster. He was with T1 for a year.
But he wasn't there as a coach is the problem.
No, he was there as a streamer.
Because he initially was signed on as a coach.
And then Cloud9 was 2 months. Like, anytime he's given an offer or he starts doing it, just shit hits the fan for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, and earlier on, some of those were definitely personality conflicts. The BBQ Oliver's one, he had a full chance to get in and talk to people, but the thing is that LS has a specific way that he sees the game. And I would say his is the most interesting approach that I've ever seen to the game. He doesn't necessarily look at the meta as the meta. And that is because he looks at what can answer X champion, what can answer X champion. And sure, he's probably right and wrong about a number of things, you know? But he's trying to improve the game in the way that he approaches it as opposed to just trying to win a game. So he believes that players, if they try more things, you don't have to play things to a super prolific degree to be able to get value out of certain champions that will answer some of the issues that people keep running into that they believe are unanswerable inside of the game. And that's how his approach has always been, but for the most part, pro players do not see the game the way that he does. And unless they feel that he can prove it to them, they're not going to change their way. In fact, there are some of them that it doesn't matter if he can prove it to them. They're not convinced. And so in BBQ, he had like 1, maybe 2 players that would discuss picks and would be fine with, you know, really going over these things with him. The rest of them were very combative the entirety of the time. He hadn't earned their respect. They were not going to respect him. They were too close in age and yada, 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 yada. And it just wasn't going to happen. It's really hard to be a coach, you know, if no one buys in to your philosophy. You don't really have a lot of impact as a coach if that's the case.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I think the rough thing is his past. How much of his past keeps organizations from fully
No, for sure.
giving in. You know, he was
Yep.
competitively banned for 4 years. You know, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the man. Everybody, I say this lightly because of the real world shit going on right now. A lot of people deserve a second chance, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that people have been giving him second chances, but the time frames are so short. Like,
Yeah.
at most
I don't
like
feel it's
6
really a second
months.
chance.
Like, there's got to be something that's happening, and where they're like, yeah, we believe in you, we trust you, you do what you
And
need to do.
that's why I was stoked for the C9 thing, because they said it was a full buy-in. They're gonna do it. Now understand, Fudge and LS were really big friends, really
Yeah,
good
they're
friends.
buds. He as far as I'm trying to know, he still helps
Yeah.
Fudge.
Yes. Max Waldo, one of the other coaches, and Vagar V2, really good friends with LS. Blabber and LS were on really good terms as well, because he was helping Fudge the prior season, and they would bounce ideas off of each other. And when LS was coming in, huge changes were coming through. Like, huge changes were being offered up, and it's like, okay, well, that's great, that's fantastic. What Like, we're actually gonna have an opportunity for LS to do what he wants to do, and a bunch of people didn't like the ideas that he was proposing. One of which, he brought in Malice for the academy team, and Malice is someone that he is a insane solo queue jungler. And it's not like he's playing Lee Sin and such. No, he's playing picks like Karthus. He's playing picks like Evelyn. These things that aren't getting picked very often or at all in pro play. He's picking these things in solo queue. He's dominating with them. And it's like, okay, well, that just won't work in pro play. That's the thought.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason he's taking all of these players here, and he approached Sven, and Sven agreed to play for the academy team for LS and to stay on C9, because they were going to scrim the academy team, and he wanted the best team possible for the academy team to be able to really push and challenge their main team, and to give them adequate practice across all of these different potentials and pick potentials. It seemed to be working. You had a really good academy squad that, by the way, the Karthus and the Evelyn were permabanned against Malice in academy, because teams could not deal with them, but they weren't willing to learn to play them. And that's something that LS had talked about, is that pros aren't willing to learn these things. They want to stick with what they've known. They want to stick with just a smaller champion pool that they're good on, because it makes things more simple. It makes things easier. You don't have to think as hard.
I'm not saying he wasn't involved in it, but Malice joined before LS signed on.
Yeah, no, he was basically advising. He was advising on players to take before he had signed on, because they were courting LS for a while, and he had been actively advising them on roster moves before even the end of the season, because he and Jack had a number of talks based mostly on Max Waldo and like Vigar V2's advice.
Which I wonder if he was paying him. for
He
all
may
of
have
that
been.
inside stuff. Because, I mean, if I was LS, I'd definitely make sure I'm receiving a payment since he got burnt
He
by
wants to. Well,
Ocelot
yeah. But
when he
he wanted
coached
to make
G2.
sure that. Yeah, but a lot of that stuff he did do for free. At least that's what he says. I really don't have any reason not to believe him when he says it, because he's been really honest about a bunch of other things as well.
Yeah.
But he said that there was a lot of stuff that he had been doing for free just because he was friends with like Fudge, for instance, and so he wanted to see the team do well. And he cares very much about the state of the game itself. But this he said was going to be his ride or die. This is the last hurrah for him in terms of like coaching and stuff with the game. And
Which
then
sucks.
he gets into NA. The first couple weeks look pretty good.
They were 3-1, I think, after the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, they were 3-1, and one of the losses was Blabber's Karthus, which that game was looking very winnable. It was against Liquid. That game was extremely winnable, but inexperience on Karthus showed, and they did lose the game mostly because of the Gragas plays into the Karthus. With more time and more experience, that draft that they had would have been great. They pulled out the Ivern mid, which was definitely ban worthy, but then it just never got played again, which was tragic.
Well, yeah,
They
because
did this to
LS
Rocket
left.
mid. Yeah, well, I mean, but
Like-
that I guess goes into the next portion of this, because the entire team was built around LS, and you could see in their videos how LS was having to kind of bargain with. God, why do I keep forgetting their top laner's name?
Summit.
Summit. He had to bargain with Summit to get Summit to play Camille for the Soraka game, for instance. He's trying to get something that Summit is comfortable playing, because Summit knew he was the best, like, straight up player on the team. And Berserker, they kept giving him the Aphelios, and he was a god on Aphelios. Like, Berserker was the late game insurance, and he was insane on that champion. That was gross how good he was. But realistically, we don't really know what the end of the road would look like. We've no idea. We didn't get to have an idea. We don't know how the meta in NA might have changed. We've no earthly idea. The impact was probably going to be monumental, but literally the instant that Ellis was gone, everything went standard. Everything went standard.
Yeah.
And at first it was, no, we're still gonna have some weird picks from time to time, but yada yada yada, blah blah blah, was the response.
Yeah. And then they go
And then
four straight games of Hecarim, or
Yeah.
like constant Zeri, or like
Yep.
it's just, everybody just played the character that was supposed to play that lane.
Yep. And it was the Summit show. And from what I heard behind the scenes, from what I understand, it was basically Summit and then a little bit Berserker were demanding what was going to be played. Because once you're good enough, you can just demand it.
To an extent, yeah.
And so, like, that was the position that he was in on the team. There wasn't any way to, like, say anything back. Like, because Max Waldo, and this is something that LS said. He's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know why things are being drafted like this. Because Max and he saw the game in a very similar fashion. Max was a much younger guy, though, it's quite possible that he just didn't command any respect from, at the very least, the Korean players.
Yeah.
And Cloud9 really did drop off the face of the earth once people just started banning out Summit. They just hard banned Summit, camped Summit, and their season was over so fast. Fudge
Yeah.
didn't really get a chance to learn mid lane or you know, if he had been piloting more unique picks, especially ones that really well complemented the team composition, I think that it would have felt like he had a much better season. Now that wouldn't have necessarily meant that he was the best mid laner, but it would have felt like a much better season.
Fudge?
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, did some of his fucking mid picks stink.
The Corki, I never wanted to see on Corki again. Ever again. Never, ever, ever again. Like, honestly, his Victor started getting pretty decent after a while.
Oh, yeah, his Victor was after the first couple times.
What, like
his
the
Victor.
fourth or fifth game?
Well, I mean, yeah, but like, I mean, to be fair, right? Like, it's his first season in mid. That's why, like, realistically, what LS was doing was so much better because he was picking into what everyone else was picking, right? And it's like, yeah, you can do a lot of this stuff with Karma. You can do a lot of this stuff with Soraka. You can do a lot of this stuff with Ivern. You just have to do it with the correct compositions for the picks. And the reason why it worked wasn't just like Enchanter mids were the only thing that he had. It's just that Enchanter mids were great into what everyone else was playing.
I mean, I'll never forget the Olaf dive under the Soraka.
No, mind you, he said before that he hates Olaf picks. Because no one's picking it at the right time with the right stuff around it. The Soraka being there allowed him just to run in and kill him underneath tower from full HP. And he got out just fine because Soraka was there. Like, how wild is that? Like, nobody saw that coming. Ever.
What, was it chase the Victor under turret and just mow
Yeah,
the
just
hell
killed
out
him.
of it?
He just bonked him, and it was over, man. But like, that's the thing, right? Like, so much of what's frustrating about this is that we don't have any info on why he was even kicked. No info.
It was what, like 3 or 4 hours before game 5 of the season.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
week 2.
that was when he was told, and then the tweet happened a few minutes before, like 10 or 30 or whatever minutes before, and the analyst was like, "We had no idea."
Yeah.
So we're scrambling right now,
Yeah,
trying to
no,
figure out what to say. 'Cause
All
we had
they said
prepared.
was coaching differences.
Yeah, differences in philosophy or whatever it was.
And you want to
And
sit there
it's
and be like, okay, what was the differences? Did he pull a Reginald and tell someone that he was stupid? Did he tell someone, oh, play this champion for me today? Like what were the fucking differences? Was it like, or was it like, you need to be playing League like 18 hours a day when it's not, game day? Like, you could see something like that where you're like, okay, you're demanding way too much out of what they need to do. But if it's like, hey, you should practice this champion and get some playtime in on it. Like,
what
was it?
I don't. Yeah, but like the problem is like, well, I don't even care. What, you want someone to play 18 hours a day? Okay, look, you're being unreasonable. So no, they're not going to do that. Okay, so what? He wouldn't quit over that.
Nope.
So why? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what? He's insulting people? Okay. Like, to what degree? Like, is he threatening them with a knife? Like, what? Like, short of like literally punching Jack in the face, or shivving or attempting to shiv multiple players. Like, how do you just can him like that?
Right? Or was it
Especially
like
when he's leading you to a successful start to the season after you've kind of
right.
screwed up the
You
lock-in.
literally uprooted his entire life
Yeah.
to come here and do this.
Or was it, something like, hey, I want to do some roster switches and I want to pull, because Summit was giving him issues. Like, I want to put Summit down in Academy, and they're like, nope, not happening. Bye. Like
I'm like, I don't even see that happening, because like, think about it, right? He was giving Summit picks that he himself didn't like. He was giving
That
Summit
Summit
picks
was
that he
willing to
wanted,
play.
that Summit was willing to play, and then he was basically drafting for 4 positions and giving Summit whatever made Summit shut up.
Yeah.
Like, and God, it sucks because I want to know what the fuck happened. Because like, I was so stoked for NA for just this. When that stopped, people hate watched C9 for a little bit, and when C9 kind of stabilized and was only playing normal, they stopped watching.
Mm-hmm.
I only kept watching him because I watched every match.
Yeah, I had no interest in C9. I was watching TL going, all right, TL, please just show me some dominance, show me something special. And TL didn't do that either. And I didn't want to watch NA. I wanted to watch NA when the season started because you had people trying different shit. And I was curious to see what was going to come out of what LS was doing within the first few weeks, because I wanted to see what people's responses were to it. Like, how are you going to change draft to deal with these other champions? How does draft itself change, right? Because normally, like, you have a stock standard 3 picks, and then you have like 1 surprise on each side. Is like basically how drafts are set up now. That's not how LS drafted, and that was what was so interesting. And then what was funny is, how Sven is going to support now?
Yeah.
Long before that happened, LS was saying, I don't know, like, what do you do roster-wise? I guess like the only thing you could do is maybe take Sven to support? I don't know. And look at that! Sven is support like a few months later.
Not only is
Or a few weeks
Sven
later or whatever.
support,
It was wild.
but Summit is gone too.
Yeah, but
But
that was
more for next week.
I mean, that one I think was definitely going to happen, just because.
Well, when you're
again,
sitting talking
rumors,
about Fudge going top lane, and like at that point, if you're being serious about it, then Summit's gonna be, dropped.
I mean, even before then, like, I just didn't see Summit sticking around.
No, when you're demanding too much, you don't necessarily stick around.
Yeah. And then, I mean, originally they were wanting Fudge to stay in top lane because they were going for. There was another mid laner that LS said he was trying to get, and then past that, he had also tried to get Nemesis to be mid laner, but Nemesis did not want to go.
He's got a good deal streaming for one of the Korean teams for Gen G right now.
Yeah. But LS still considers Nemesis to be one of the better mid laners in the world. I don't know about all that, but he's got his reasons as to why. So
Maybe it's because he's more adaptable than some of the others.
I mean, maybe. I mean, he also plays like a lot of things like Kale. He was the first one really to start playing Tryndamere mid.
Mm-hmm.
And he did so with a lot of success in Korean solo queue. But his Vigar is also really nasty, really nasty. But yeah, I don't know. It's for Cloud9. It's just so. It's such a shame. It really is such a shame. And
oh shit, the Academy. Sorry, LCS Academy starts Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
Oh, they gave me something to watch.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I like making you lose your train of thought.
LS is like his vision is done. His
Oh,
vision is
100%.
done.
Hey, like,
It's never gonna happen now, dude.
I don't know what any
I'm
team's
so
gonna
mad
be able
about
to
it.
do. Like maybe call him and ask for like small advisements on players
Well,
or something.
Maybe I say it's dead. There's only one hope that you can have.
Maybe bring him as like a head analyst.
No, I don't. He won't do it, dude. He won't do it.
I mean, we don't know what he won't do.
Well, we know what he says. He
He won't
100%
coach.
is done.
Yeah.
Well, he says he won't take official position. He'll offer help, but he won't take any official position.
Hire him as a contractor.
I mean, I just don't, because of the money he makes. Like, I don't know, dude. I really don't know. But unless Max Waldo is able to get people to listen to him, because he and Ellis are extremely similar in terms of their views on champions, the game, just in general. Mostly because, essentially, Max Waldo was Ellis's protege, basically. So, like, student-teacher kind of relationship. I can only, like, that would be the only way that I could see this going any differently. Is that maybe people actually listen to him when Summit's gone. But that's a maybe. I don't know. It's so disappointing and so frustrating, because I just wanted to see, does it work or does it not work? That's all I wanted to see. And they couldn't even give us a split of it, dude. Not even
Dude,
one split.
You know where he should go. I think people would give into it to an extent. Well, hopefully you really do it, type of thing. Just to like shove it into the faces of EU and NA and LCK. Go to an emerging region.
Dude, could you imagine?
They're going to be willing to listen. They're going to be willing to give in. They're going to be willing to say, tell me what I need to learn to play. Tell me what I need to do
Go to Brazil.
to make this work.
Go to Brazil. Get the biggest, like one of the biggest fan bases ever.
Jew.
That would be insane. That would be insane. Could you imagine that?
Dude, that would Brazil or where else? I don't know where else.
I mean,
want
like,
them to
right,
go.
realistically, if we're talking about how good the players are, I mean, probably like VCS or Taiwan.
Dude, could you imagine? Which, by the way, GAM ended up winning their
there you go. That's
Southeast
what's
Asia
up.
games.
So much better than going to MSI.
yeah, they ended up winning. So turned out much better for them over MSI.
Where they go fourth instead and still have to face RNG. Yeah, that would suck.
Right. Oh man. Dude, looking at some of these rosters for the academy teams.
Yeah.
So Kevy joined CLG Academy.
God, man. They're just absolutely destroying these other
There's someone else.
dude.
Leader from I believe LDLC, right? Or he joined Golden Guardians Academy.
Okay.
Fuck, dude. Like these rosters, some of them are pretty freaking insane.
Yeah. I will still continue to watch the Cloud9 Academy games like I have been. As long as Malice is juggling, I will.
Who?
100%.
Alice.
Malice.
But No,
No,
he's not
he's
going to
gone.
be jungling this year.
He
Oh,
left.
did he leave?
He left.
He didn't leave. He's a streamer slash positional coach.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
not.
dude,
left,
that
he left the
sucks.
roster.
Shaden is their jungler. Sheiden.
Dude, that sucks. Cause like man, all right. I'm just
But
gonna
if
have
he's
to. I'm
the
just gonna have to
jungle
rewatch.
positional
I'll just have to
coach-
rewatch. No, I don't care. I'm like real. Think about this realistically. Unless the team follows like Max Waldo's approach, it's not gonna happen, dude.
Yeah, I know. I can hope.
It's just not gonna happen. Like if, God, that fucking blows. I hate this, man.
Yeah, he switched to streamer. So
Well, because the only reason he agreed to join was because he was never gonna be asked to play, at the pro level, and he could basically do what he wanted, as long as he showed up for scrims and played academy. That's it. Those were the stipulations for him.
I knew he was getting up there in age, but I didn't know Smoothie went down to academy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's been there for a little while now.
Guardian Guardian's roster could be interesting with leader and Acadian.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. NA feels doomed. Like just completely doomed. Like if EG winds up being the best that we have, who's here to push EG upwards?
So what was that question again? What?
I was like, if EG is the best that we have right now, who's there to push EG upwards? What, Liquid?
Right, in Liquid and 100 Thieves.
I still 100 Thieves is not. They're not better than they were last year at all. They should not have been in that final.
I mean,
they should.
they
have
took
been.
advantage of people
Of the
fucking
floundering
up.
teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
They took advantage of teams that were floundering. Like Liquid should have finished the 3-0 and just bopped them, and it should have been done.
Well, yeah, because well, it wasn't a 3-0. It was a 3-2.
Was it a 1-1-1-1?
It was a 3-2.
Oh no, it was a 3-2.
Yeah.
But I thought they reverse swept. Pretty sure they reverse swept. Because it looked like it was just gonna be over.
Liquid. Where the fuck? Scoreboards. There we go. Nah. No, that's against CG. Show me fucking. Dude, come on. I hate this. I got another place I can look real quick.
It looks like they went back and forth on each one.
Yeah, I
Oh, did
believe
they?
it went
The
one,
TLEG,
one,
yeah,
one, one, one.
TLEG, TLEG, TL.
Okay. Not TL and EG.
TL
Or
and
sorry.
100 Thieves.
100 Thieves. Sorry, had the wrong game pulled up.
Well, so it's confusing because TL faced EG in the first round and they went 3-2.
Yeah, 100
and
Thieves
it went,
did reverse sweep them.
and it went
Yeah.
1-1-1-1-1.
Yeah, so it was the reverse sweep though. Yeah. Like they like the first two games you just look, all right, well, that's done. It's a 3-0. This is a spank.
But at the same time though, TL realistically should have beat EG, but EG 3-0 TL.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I agree with that.
Especially since TL won the first round, even though it was 3-2.
EG was better than 100 Thieves, right? And Cloud9 should have been a better team than 100 Thieves, but they weren't at the time. That's for sure. But like 100 Thieves should not have been in the finals. They really should not have been.
What's funny? So there was only one team that took a game off of EG throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that was
TL.
FlyQuest. No.
Huh?
Or no.
Yeah.
Or yeah, two games. Because EG then went 3-1 against Fly and then just 3-0'd everybody.
Yeah.
So they only lost 3 games total.
4 games because they lost 3 to TL in a 3-2.
They lost. Okay.
quarters.
Yeah. 4. Yeah. Brain math not working.
It's fine.
But
yeah, I mean, like, it just.
I mean, I know you're like 100 Thieves and whatnot. I mean, 100 Thieves isn't gonna go anywhere.
No, they're not. I mean, I'm not saying that, because like the thing is, I'm not saying that.
In this just kind of shows the shitty, 1-game series that we constantly have in NA.
Yeah.
Because to see EG like be 4th place with TL and 100 Thieves like having very dominant records. Because what the regular season records, you had TL 14-4, Cloud9 13-5, 100 Thieves 12-6, and then you have EG behind them at 10-9.
Yeah.
Huge discrepancy in scores. You have TL beating them 3-2 in the first round, and you're like, okay, that's roughly how it should have been, right? But then you have
EG also like super showed up that series. Like that
Yeah,
was when you went,
and
oh,
you have-
EG actually could do this. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then you have 100 Thieves reverse sweeping TL, and you're like, okay, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
EG
and not only that, 100 Thieves really shat on Cloud9.
yeah.
Like they shat on Cloud9. It was 3-0.
And then
It
you
was
have
not close. It
EG
was
just destroying the losers bracket, 3-1ing Fly,
Yeah.
3-0ing Cloud9, and then
3-0
you're
in
like,
TL.
okay, TL and EG matching again, probably 5 games. TL should be able to win it, and then they just 3-0 TL, and you're like, okay, well, 100 Thieves should be able to do something because technically, by the regular season standards, because it's all 1 game
I
BS.
knew as soon as I was like, whoever gets in there should just like absolutely BTFO 100 Thieves. Like I saw how Liquid threw 3 games in a row, and like the decisions and everything that went through on that one, it was just like, all right, well, like there's no way that anyone else does it. Whoever gets there is going to be on their game enough to win this pretty easily against 100 Thieves. I thought it was going to be like a 3-1 though. I did not think it was going to be 3-0.
Which I think it should have been a 3-1 because I think 100 Thieves should have won one of the games.
Yeah, they had one of the games for sure.
They threw it because all the teams were throwing huge plays against EG throughout the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
So-
And Baron. Can we please find Baron for leveling up, by the way, in that TL game?
Pretty sure that they just changed Baron so he can't do that shit as easily.
Oh no, that's bullshit. You're gonna change it now.
It's not that they can't do it as easily. It's if it passes, because he levels up every minute.
Yeah.
If it passes the minute mark, as
While he's
long
being
as he's
tethered.
taking damage, he will. When he stops taking damage, it will take 30 seconds for him to level up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically,
That was
yeah.
Current patch change had that in it.
30 seconds goes pretty quick because
Yep.
he needs to be damaged, not him attacking a player because he's standing
After
there
taking damage.
keeping aggro while
Yeah.
you're trying to, dance around the other team to see who's going to engage, who's not going to engage.
But it's fair, like, because at that point in time, you're not actually actively trying to take the Baron if you're not dealing damage to him. So that's a fair
straight up,
change.
the patch notes say updated, no more unlucky.
The
Dude.
Baron
crazy
now wastes
thing
30
is,
seconds after
so
taking damage
so
before can
my
level up
thing
against
is
Sans,
now,
namely health.
how many of the previous Baron steals
Hmm.
potentially had that happen, and we're just now seeing it because it was an
A microscopic amount. I actually went back and I looked over a bunch of these because other people had asked the same question. And this
Yeah. How
guy
many
did
times
this.
has this happened before?
Uh, Nothing. So here's the deal. In pro play across major regions, this specific instance has not happened before.
That and it and at the same time too, because it's definitely a question to be had.
It has happened while they were taking it. He leveled up when it was starting to get there, but never has it happened like literally split second
As you smite
that
it.
he leveled up as he was in smite range.
Yeah.
Like smite was pressed and he leveled before the ability effect went off.
And the
Which
Jig steal.
at the same time is just let you know, pro player's mindset, like he smited it at the exact perfect fucking moment that it couldn't get stolen. He's like, I am a fucking jungler right now, and the Baron goes bloop. Sorry.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And then Jinx Rocket hits it and goes, ha, not yours.
and then after that, it just destroyed the rest of the series. Like all mentality was thrown out the window, the whole thing. But my thing is, right, just to show our knowledge of the game. How many of you knew that before?
So here's the deal. I knew that it happened,
I knew it leveled up,
but
but I didn't know.
I thought that if he was in combat, he wouldn't level up.
Yeah, because
So
at
I
some
didn't
point
even
you
look at it.
knew, like, the Baron was leveling up because you'd be like, oh, 20 minutes. Oh, he's only got this much health. You go back to it
Yeah.
like 5 minutes later. Oh, shit, he's got a lot of fucking health now. Like,
Yeah. But
but I never knew, like, it was on the minute. I did not know that.
so I knew it was on the minute, but like I said, I thought that for sure he couldn't level up while he was being attacked.
You would hope that he would
Because
level up while being attacked.
I'd never seen it happen, dude.
Yeah.
I'd never
Well,
seen
because
it
I mean,
happen.
to be fair, a lot of the times when teams are taking Baron, like, they just either pull off super hard, or I guess they started attacking after the minute rolled over or something.
Well, I mean, if it happens like when he's at half, like who cares if he levels up and gains a couple hundred HP?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're in the middle of attacking it, like it doesn't really phase you.
Nope.
But the fact that it could happen, literally, frame perfect,
That and
as he's
that lets you
smiting.
know the chaos, too, because the jungler, like, you at some point as a pro jungler, you have to figure they know every minute this thing is leveling up. They might not have the same mindset as us of like, if you're attacking it, it shouldn't do it type of thing. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. They've played the game longer than we have, but like, you can't tell me, especially in this instance, that any jungler is looking at the time of the clock.
No, not a single one.
With all of the shit going on, they're like, okay, where's the enemy jungler? What are we doing? This is how we're positioning. Okay, we're gonna make sure we burst it this time at this health.
They're like, Jinx is up, Jinx will be coming.
And you're not looking at the clock. You're just going, okay, he's about to hit. Was it like 950?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, we got this. And then nope. And then Jinx gets hyper, and it all goes wrong.
Because it was literally like 949 or some shit. It was just like immediately under the threshold. He just saw something that was below 9.5 and smited.
Yeah.
And the thing is, right? Like I don't know. For me, there's no way that like his team understands what happened. I'll bet you in the moment he didn't understand what happened.
It all comes down to, did I miss smite?
And then they're like, dude, you smite it early. Oh my god, we're gonna lose this game. You fucking smite it early. He's like, no, I swear to God, it was in the range. I smited exactly when I needed to. Yeah, well, you smited exactly into a Jinx rocket. Like, I, I have to. Oh man, but that's got to be so tilting. And then you find out later that yeah, you did smite exactly when you needed to. Good job, bud.
Yeah.
Well, then why didn't it work? Well, that's how the game
mechanics.
goes.
Well,
That's how
in
the game goes.
that was game 1, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It set the tone for the rest of
The
the
whole
series.
series. No, here's the thing, right? So realistically, EG was in control of the game up until a couple fights in River. And then I guess one fight in River and then another fight afterwards, and that led to Team Liquid being in a good position. Couple catches here, one big team fight, and they are able to go through and basically take the Baron. And then that happened and it spiraled out of control. The other games, TL was actually in advantage positions in both of them. And just wound up throwing games.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, end of the day, EG's the one that didn't tilt. So it's, you know, at some point in time, you're going to have to find a way to get past the weird bugs in the game where your character flies up into the air for 18 million years while still getting hit by a tower. You know? You have to find a way to just go, oh, well, sucks, but I'm dead.
Yeah, that happened at MSI too.
See,
Like he
yeah,
wasn't getting attacked by the tower, but he was like behind Baron Pit and went fucking.
Yeah.
Last time you saw the Leona model, you were in front
all
of
the way
Baron
up in the
Pit.
air.
and paused the game too. It was like, hey, bro, come on. It's like
Where'd I go?
play the
Leona
game.
went to the moon.
Yeah, and he was still getting attacked by the what was it, the Kaiseki while he was up there too.
Yes.
Like I don't even think he came back down in the same spot. I think he was in a different spot because he was moving.
He moved.
Yeah.
He went up in the bush behind the Baron Pit and came down in front of the Baron
river.
Pit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so wild.
He even popped the W on re-entry impact.
Yeah. So like, but yeah, it's just it's one of those things where like, you know, that stuff's going to happen. You're just going to have to be fine with it. You're going to have to just get used to it. You know, and I can say that very easily and comfortably from my position of not playing in pro. So, but
yeah,
like,
it's just a game, bro. Like,
yeah.
Fuck it, you lost. Who gave a shit? You know.
You just gotta go to the next.
Play
one,
another.
Go. It's okay.
We're not going to bed until we win.
That is us some nights.
The jungler.
We gotta win one, guys.
The jungler just has to go. Look, guys, I gapped their jungler. What's wrong with you? And everyone else just needs to blame the jungler. Right? It's. Oh man, it just.
But yeah, you could tell the whole series was off after that. It was like,
yeah,
everybody was so frazzled and just. I don't even think if they were like, you know what, because of that, we'll just restart the series because it was the first game.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered.
No,
TL still would have.
It really should have been an EGTL final. But, you know what? I'll take it. I'm just glad that it wasn't 100 Thieves at one. I really am. And I don't really have anything against 100 Thieves, but they weren't any better than they were last split, or in the summer of 2021. They're not any better. And other teams were stomping them appropriately because they weren't any better, and then all of a sudden teams just started regressing at a rapid rate, and they started climbing. And that was not the look I wanted from a champion.
So, if I want to be, technical here, technically, 100 Thieves had a better record.
Yeah, they did.
This year.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, it was true in 2021 when they did win that we saw like a catastrophic failure of other teams.
Oh, that's right, dude. I really hope they has fucking LCS say they're not going to carry the records over. Are they going to carry the fucking records over again like they did last year?
I don't know.
Please
I don't know.
no. I'm like,
I don't know.
how did they do in the summer season? That's right. They carried the fucking record over.
Yeah. I don't know. I have
CS
no idea.
to update format for 2022 season. Spring split record will no longer carry over into summer.
Good.
This was posted back in November.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't. I thought they changed it, but I couldn't. Remember.
Good. Good. No more of this bullshit.
So, anyways, though, but that's the. I guess that's kind of like the end of all of this. Is that I am. I don't know. Let's see what Cloud9 decides to do. Let's see if TL decides to show up. But I was not impressed with how TL decided to play because they have the capability of playing through all lanes. They do. Hip hip hooray. But their style wasn't there. Like they didn't show enough competency on any of it to make it through. So I think they need to pick one and stick with it long enough to get good at it. To at least then decide to branch out. And I personally think that if they play through Hansama and allow Bwipo to play weak side, that would probably be the better way to go about it.
You would think.
Did they change rosters already?
Hunter Thief or Team Liquid?
Yeah.
No.
No, TL's roster.
No, I'm going off of what you said.
Yeah. I was just making sure. I was like making sure I wasn't like missing a roster move.
Because I mean, Bwipo's not a horrible person to play through.
No, but
and that's mainly what they were doing when they went 14-4.
But like, to be fair, the thing is that he's also been historically an incredible weak side top laner that knows when he can be aggressive. And Hansama is someone that needs some babying. It can be really good in lane.
You got to raise the puppy a little bit down there.
He's good. I just think that if you give him the resources to just carry from the start, that Bwipo will be fine. And you're less reliant on Bjergsen to tip the matchup because Bjergsen looked average this past split. I don't think that playing through Bwipo is going to be possible unless Bjergsen really steps up. Now, if Bjergsen really steps up and you get a better top side of the map, then that's fine. But
yeah, I think it's also one of those, to be fair, the mid picks till it became late season and MSI picks. Like, the mid picks weren't necessarily great for helping any other lanes except for your own.
Yeah.
Because of like the Victor and the Corki, and then if like people got spicy with like an Akali or something.
Sure.
So that's why I'm like, we'll see what TL does next season. If they're still gonna go through Bwipo. Because I mean, as we saw, there's still a huge reason to go through the top lane. Because of the picks currently.
But I don't think it's good to leave that bottom lane hanging out to dry. I think that it's hurting your team more than it's helping you.
I mean, yes and no. It also comes down to Hansama. I mean, he's got core JJ. Like they just, with as aggressive as they know they can play, you know, sometimes you gotta realize you're the weak side for the majority of it, depending on what the top picks are, and play accordingly. And I mean, that's kind of what we said about EG. We're like, okay, they need to play through the bot lane, but they're not playing through the bot lane. They decided to go through the top lane for MSI, but their bot lane didn't adapt to it. They're like, oh yeah, we're still gonna get support. Well, you're not getting support.
Oh, well, they weren't even playing aggressive. They were just getting shit on. That was the problem.
But they were
straight up
being
getting shit on.
aggressive in lane that caused them to be
Oh yeah, well,
shit on.
their positioning was aggressive. Like their positioning was aggressive.
And Core JJ
And-
and Hansamas have the same, not problem or issue, but they play the same way. Where they're like,
same tendencies for sure.
they can have that pro mindset, especially Core JJ of I am the
yeah.
better fucking player in this lane.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
And again, I guess throughout this split too, they also, for some reason, especially Hansama, like Core JJ not so much, but Hansama was getting somehow surprised by a couple level 2s.
Yeah.
And it just,
and I think it was just the weird default, the weird meta shift for bot lane, because it was like, oh, Affilio's super strong, and then as far as a pro play goes, he got nerfed pretty big, and they're like, okay, we'll bring out Jinx and we'll still play the Ezreals, and then they're allowed to play Zeri, and it's like, okay, now Zeri's the thing. We'll just throw the cat on you and you do your own fucking thing, like.
yeah.
The change in bot lane has changed because of the top lane picks as Gwen and all this other bullshit of you need to figure out how to either win your 2v2 or not lose your 2v2 and be able to back off when we tell you it's going to be a 3v2 or 4v2 because of the mid lane roam. And a lot of the bot laners are just like, you guys will help me, and then they look and they're like, oh, the other 3 people are diving their top laner. I guess I should have backed off when you said you were going to go do something top lane.
Yep. Well, this will be the split where we find out if there's any portion of LS's philosophy left at Cloud9.
I'm going to say doubtful.
I agree with you that it's doubtful.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then honestly, realistically, I think this is probably NA's only. It was potentially NA's only chance of actually doing well internationally, was having to compete with LS's ideas on what to do to combat what's meta. It's either that, or you just have to trust that Team Liquid is a good enough team to do it. And they didn't show that in spring. That much is for sure.
You know what's super crazy? Because I'm looking at some of the stats for previous season, for spring season, and you can kind of see that shift in like meta change and stuff.
Yeah.
Because the top laners outside of Cloud9, because, and I'm gonna say because he's the top, he in his blood he's the top laner. The top lane had the highest amount of champion picks.
Yes.
Of like 12, 13, 10, and most of the 80 carriers were like 6 to 8. Like, there was just a handful of 80 carries you touched. But top lane, they're like, okay, we're going to throw Jace up there. We're going to throw Lucian up there. We're going to throw Graves. We're going to throw Gragas, Trendemir, all this shit. And what's really funny is when you look at Cloud9, it's the mid lane. It's like 13 champion picks for Fudge, and Summit had like 9. It was like, I'm going to play Gnar, or you're going to have fun trying to get me to play something else.
Yep. And, again, he shit on people with him. He did. He really, really did. Because people were like, all right, well, this matchup is this way. Well, it's not that way because Summit's playing and you've got freaking Fake God up there. Like, it doesn't matter what Fake God's playing. It doesn't matter what Summit's playing. If you leave the 2 of them alone, Summit will win.
Yeah.
It really just doesn't matter.
Which, dude, it's super funny seeing some of this too. So, like, EG, that none of their players broke double digits for champion picks. They had their comps. They knew what they wanted to play, and they didn't derive from that.
No.
And even though Dignitas, they didn't do very well. They were the same. Nobody went over 10. They're like, these are our comps. These are what we're gonna play. And that's kind of what you need for rosters that get super blown up. Like
Yes.
EG's roster more or less got messed with because Jizuke left. Did they get Vulcan last year or this year?
They got Vulcan this year. Because he was on C9 last year.
So it's like your identity. Oh, and they got Inspired this year.
Yes. Yep.
So it's like you got messed up, and they're like, this is what we're gonna play because this is what works, and this is what works for us, and they prove that going and winning the split and then going to MSI.
Yep.
So, and then you see these other teams where you're like, okay, they should do really good. Both 100 Thieves and TL had 12 different champion picks for top lane. And they got 3-0'd.
Yep.
So, and that's why I said, like, it's super hard on NA to gauge anything before playoffs because of the one game season.
Yeah, no, and we talked about that before, I believe, on the special episode.
Yeah.
That just... Can we just please go back to 3-game formats? Look, the ones that are serious about the game are still going to watch it. Can we just please go back?
Right.
It's so
This
dumb.
is also crazy too, because I'm now noticing Immortals, they were bottom of the pack. Nobody went over 10 champions.
Yeah.
TSM, bottom of the pack. They had 2 different people go over 10 champion picks.
Yeah.
Golden Guardians, nobody over 10.
Yep.
CLG, they had 1 person, and that was their mid laner as well.
Yeah.
So, it just makes it super hard to gauge. Like, is just consistency better, or is a whole host of fucking picks better? Because you would say a whole host of picks because Team Liquid won the like, not the overall, they won the the regular spring split. Because Bwipo had 12, Bjergsen had 9. And then you get EG that are like, okay, we're just going to win the playoffs and go to MSI. And they were like 7, 8, 9. So, I don't know.
The problem is that, like, in the end, realistically, having a host of picks is better, but it's way more difficult to do. So be honest with yourself, with your team,
Yeah,
as to where you are. But that's what you should be aiming for, is the multiples. That's what you should be aiming for.
Yeah, well, and that's my other thing too, right? Is all of these teams that are like, okay, we're gonna plug and play top laners, picks, but our other picks for like jungle and mid laner and support and AD carry are so low that it comes to that, overall LS philosophy of like, you need to build the team that works with a lot of the champions you're putting in there. If you're plugging and playing, like, that shouldn't work.
Yeah, you'll wind up with Kennen in the top lane
With the TF.
with the TF again against Gwen. It's like, please stop. No.
Or you'll pick a Jarvan and you won't pick Kennen.
You won't pick Kennen. Oh no, man. No, it ain't so.
So it's just it's a tough philosophy, and I think there needs, like, if you have one person with like 12, 13 unique picks,
Yeah.
I think there should be a couple people within a couple, not saying like if this person pulls out like 15 unique picks, everybody else needs to do the same, But you should have, you know, like your mid laner or your jungler being close to that of, you know, 10, 11 themselves, because they're like, okay, this is a different type of comp that we're playing, because
Yeah.
you can't just be like, I'm going to take a Renekton and replace it with Graves. They're both AD. There's no problem with that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's a huge different problem, because Renekton can go in, be super beefy, survive a lot of bullshit while you guys are doing all your stuff. And Graves is like, I'm going to go in and try to pop someone before I die.
Unless it's Summit in a Rise ulti.
Yeah.
In which case he just goes in and dies.
So it's just, I don't know. I was just seeing all these people with just such low picks. Like,
Yeah, I mean, and then like it's the flexibility is the issue, because you are gonna get caught with your pants down and no way to get out of what you're drafting into.
yeah. Especially 80 carries. Because at some point you have
Yeah.
to know, like, I'm the weak side. I gotta pick someone that can handle it, instead of just going, I'm grabbing Jinx, I'm getting nothing fed into me,
Yep.
let's do this.
Or how about, you know, all right, well, my job is gonna be to survive because we're playing through top lane. It's an AD top laner as well. Maybe I need to play someone AP bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, pull out the Ziggs.
That's
Depending. So
not.
I will have to say, I'd like, so for the AP bots, like
Yeah.
like Graves. If you have Graves in top lane, he's more or less a pseudo AD carry, realistically.
Yeah.
You can, at that point, depending on who your jungler is, which most of the time they're like, if we're gonna go Graves, we're gonna go like Viego or Zinzao, or, you know, like they're going AD and AD, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we'll go like an Ari mid or something stupid like that. Not necessarily, you know, Ari is a stupid pick, but I was just like looking at Victor. Like they're like, oh, we're gonna go Graves top, we're gonna go Victor.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go someone kind of hyper aggressive for an AP and bot, in my opinion. You can't necessarily go Ziggs, because that's just going to be way too much
I honestly
control,
thought
in my
that
opinion.
the Vlad bottom was a good idea,
Yeah, 100%.
because I look at Vlad bottom with like a Graves top lane, and I go, hey, wait
And
a minute here.
and
What do I have? I've got a Vlad, so I can pool the safety.
yeah.
Like that's your Tristana, that's your what's her face ultimate, Zaya ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is, right? This is your safety. This is your Ezreal E. That's what you get from that. You have consistent damage with Q.
Yeah.
You have pretty high burst damage. You have pretty decent survivability. You have way more HP than you normally would have. Like, but you do have to think and play the game a little bit differently, right? Because you're
Yeah.
more mid-range now. But like if you've played Lucian, I do think that Vlad is similar enough to Lucian in terms of like your in out with your trades.
Depending on who Lucian's support is.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not completely foreign. At least it shouldn't be completely foreign to you at that point.
No.
So like
and
yeah,
to be fair, I did like the Senna paired with Vladimir, because it helped him survive in bot lane, because it takes you a little bit longer to get the level ups compared to like mid or top.
Mm-hmm.
To survive until 9.
Yes.
Like this is your, like, okay, this lane should not be fucking dying unless they're bringing 4 people down here to dive and kill you.
Hear me out. Here's an option. I want you to think about it. Vlad Yumi.
No.
No.
Why not?
Please no. Mostly I don't like the cat.
I don't like NA cats.
Yeah, that's beside the point. It really is beside the point.
So I don't know.
You have the speed up, the consistent heal. He can go underground. It's really good anti-dive.
I could see it. I I think it depends on what the other picks on the field are.
Oh, obviously, like all of this is like dependent.
Yeah. But yeah, Senna or Yumi, you could swap the two out.
It would just
for
depend
the
on what you're
Vlad.
going into, right?
Yeah.
Like how much lockdown do they have? But like a lot of times you're worried about like the Nautilus, like the super hard engage, the Leona. To have Vlad to be able to scoot out for most of that, pretty freaking nice. Because the instant that he hits his W, he's underground. So, I mean, it doesn't solve all problems.
No.
I guess actually another pick that's actually probably pretty safe against the supports that are out right now might be a Vhagar, actually. Most of them are dash. And his cage does stop dashes.
Who would you put with the Vhagar, though?
With Vhagar, I mean, realistically, you could just put an Enchanter support. Whether you want Senna with it, because Senna would be good, right?
Yeah.
Both of them are picking up stacks.
Yeah, but
Or
that,
you
so
could go. You could.
I think
go
you'd have to
more
go
with-
with tank support because with the Vlad, he kind of gets beefy and stuff, so you get away from
You can
not
go
having
Karma,
to
though.
have the tank.
You can go Karma.
Maybe
Karma or Janna. Actually, Janna might be insane.
I don't know. I'm
Janna,
actually-
just
I
trying to
think
Janna
go
could really be insane.
because if we're trying to think of his cage, I'm just trying to think of just the overall like if the support can go in and get on top of them because that's kind of Vhagar like is and
Well,
isn't what
yeah,
Vhagar
yeah,
does.
but-
It's like you want to get on, just burst them out and get the fuck out.
You could just be safe and farm through the lane and just make sure that no one can get to the Vhagar. Janna's insane at that. Like think of all the engaged supports that exist that are being used right now. Janna's
Yeah.
incredibly good into them.
Yeah, but I'm also trying to think of like the meta that the pros are going with the roaming supports. That's not
Yeah,
gonna
Janna's
fit,
still-
especially if you're trying to go
No,
with
Janna's
the
fine
top
for roaming,
laner.
Might Jan the top lane. What the thing?
I don't know.
I mean, but if you do want her to roam, then yeah, you probably wouldn't have the Vhagar.
yeah.
But like, I mean, I think just as a pairing, that's probably pretty good.
Well, for our level, yeah, 100%.
No, I just mean in general. I think that I just mean in general. I think that it's probably a pretty good. And in general, Janna's incredibly strong. I really do think she's incredibly strong right now, and she's underutilized to get rid of a bunch of the engage that exists.
I think
Because
there's
she's
a lot of.
insanely good, especially against like bottom dives.
I think because of the pro mindset with how they want to do stuff, there's a lot of bot lane matchups that are really underutilized because they're thinking as a whole, the pick doesn't work for what they're trying to do for the team overall.
Yeah, I mean,
Compared to us, where we're like, okay, like I don't know how well it works with the new Talia rework, but it's like with the old Talia, me and Penn would go bot Talia Pantheon and just insta fucking kill everybody. And
Well,
Pantheon still
yeah,
had the
but-
roaming capabilities with its ultis and could go affect
Yeah.
other lanes and shit. You get your AP bot lane if someone went, AD in mid, or if you're doing like a triple stack AD top side. But the pros would never do that. They'd be like, it doesn't, it's not the whole
Well, I mean-
of the game.
well, part of that is just because of the problems that Pantheon himself has.
Yeah, but there's no problems if you kill the person within 2 seconds of engaging.
No, yeah, but I mean, generally speaking,
Which is what we would do
if
every
you-
time.
Well,
But-
right. But I mean, like it's one of those things where, in the right circumstances, that could still work. Even at the pro level, it could still work if the circumstances were correct within draft.
But that's what I'm
honestly,
saying, though.
Talia may
but
actually be
that-
a much better bot laner right now.
But that's
just because
exactly
they give her
what
AoE
you're
back.
saying, though. Like they're looking at the draft. Like with the Janna, yes, you could pick up a Janna, but at the same time you're looking at the draft going, Janna's fucked.
Yeah, but like you kind of, I don't know,
Or
because
Vaegar's
the issue
fucked.
is
Like,
like, oh yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah, no, and you would have to say, okay, well that's off the table then, because X. But like obviously, depending on what you want your rest of your team comp to look like,
Yeah.
we were just talking about like possible viable options for what a bot lane would look like. That's why I threw out Janna to go along with Veigar, is because you would have to make sure that the Veigar wasn't getting dove.
Yeah, but I'm more of, if you're looking at just the 2v2 as a whole, even if you're trying to make sure he's not getting dove, because at the same time you're kind of still looking at an enemy team, not necessarily picks, but you're like, okay, it's still tank-ish, a nice engaging like Leona or Nautilus, or even the Pantheon Veigar works better for me over the Janna. Because even with diving, like a Leona Nautilus and like Thresh, I think I would go Thresh over the Janna. But that's me. That's why I'm saying that's me. And to be fair, if you really want to get a little bit spicy, you could do like a Veigar Lux.
I mean, I can see Veigar Lux, but like the only problem is that Veigar kind of relies on the Lux.
And the Lux can also rely on the Veigar. Because if you cage someone, it makes it easier for the Q. And then even for Veigar, if she lands a Q, it makes it easier to cage. But I mean, with the Janna, like, because if we're going off of the cage stuff, I mean, it's the same thing, for the Janna. Like, if you're smart enough to dodge...
I'm not even talking about poke. I'm not really talking about poke, because, like, the thing is, like, the Janna Q is not really dodgeable for a quick knockup.
But I mean, it's still somewhat similar to like the Lux Q, and then the Lux shield it's similar to the Janna shield, because not only do you have that initial shield if you're getting attacked, as long as it comes back and hits you again, you get the additional shield. So you're getting relatively the same amount of shield that a Janna would give you. And
but then you also
get
have
the
knockback
slow.
From the ulti. Like, the knockback from the ulti is huge.
Yeah, I mean that's like the only difference.
Yeah, but it's a pretty big difference in terms of like the overall kit.
I mean, it just depends on the situation. Like we said, it's just both picks are just situational.
Well, I mean they are. I just think that typically if you're gonna go Lux, you really want to be more aggressive in the lane. Just like the nature of the pick isn't very defensive.
Yes and no, because a lot of the times the Lux just gets picked to counter, like the Rakan. Like anybody that goes in, they're not necessarily picking it to go aggressive. They're just picking it to counter aggression.
Right now, yeah. Right now they're picking it to counter aggression, but I just don't think that the pick is very good
and that's why I'm saying
aggression.
though, like it's can be somewhat more reliable than the Janna, or else people would be picking the Janna over the Lux.
No,
honestly,
because people just don't play the Janna. I think that's way more
to
likely.
To be fair, when we played last week with Kurt, those Jannas were pretty fucking bad.
I mean,
but we're talking about our level.
No, I'm talking
like at the pro level.
Janna hasn't been a big pick for a while.
No,
because it doesn't fit holistically.
Because they don't want to pick it.
Because it doesn't fit with what they're trying to do.
Well, with what they're trying to do, which is again what I talked about before, which is the issue that their scope is small. That's why.
Scope is small for what?
Possibilities for a team comp, like what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, which
that's what essentially we were initially talking like
we're still coming out to the same answer of, because it's pros, Janna's not going to be picked, but it should have some picks that it should show up with. Yeah. But the issue is because it's pro level and it's not our mindset and it's not coach's mindset or analyst mindset, and because of all of the roaming that's happening, there has to be something with Janna with all of the roaming that is not efficient with all of the other champions that they're picking.
maybe, or they just don't understand it, which is also possible. I mean, I'm looking at one champion. Like maybe they've got their eyes on a bunch of other ones, and it's just under the radar. Like that's happened many times before.
Because the other thing is too, it's a lot of dashing champions currently,
Yeah.
and I think that is the other issue. Jan is not getting picked because because I know you're thinking like it's not necessarily too easy to dodge the tornado, but that's if you can get a quick tornado while they're on top of you. If it's kind of a delayed tornado, it's like, okay, dash, and I'm still fighting you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that comes down to how you then pilot the champion.
Yeah. And I don't think it comes down to they're not good with it. I just think it comes down to holistic team comp and what they're trying to do. Honestly, there's something fundamentally wrong with her as far as what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, like where they're pushing it right now, I think so. I just think that
And I think
they haven't. I don't think they've explored most of the answers to what currently exists.
Well, so because I was thinking about it, it's because most of the time when the support is trying to roam, because if you see like a Yumi, or any like really hardcore support, like they need to stick with somebody, they barely leave their laner, because when they show up to another lane, they outside of like an ulti on Yumi, or if they're showing up because the fight has already started, there's very little they can bring to securing the kill. And that's, I think, Janna's issue is she can show up to prevent the death from happening, but she's not good at chasing someone down lane if they've already started running away. And I think that is probably her fundamental issue, where you're just not going to see her picked. The silence
is deafening.
I've really got nothing to bring on this topic.
But like I said, I'm not trying to disagree with you.
No,
If they were staying,
I wanted to avoid another.
If they were staying in the bot lane, she's a great pick. But if we're just looking at how the pros are playing, she's not a great pick for the pros.
She's she's probably not the way it's played right now. She's probably not a good pick until mid game. But if you play for mid game, if you play for like anything from like if you play for 1-4 or 1-3-1, Janna's insane.
Yeah, but it's just with all the skirmishes. Yeah, but with just all the random flipping skirmishes that are going on, people abandoning bot lane all the time to try to go chase somebody down.
If you were to take Janna in and try to play that same game, you would fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% you would.
And that's just what's wrong with the pro mindset, and it's just like.
Yeah, because you would have to recognize and decide, okay, we're going to be giving up X until this time.
Yeah.
We're going to have to play around whatever they play towards. Do they want to play towards top side? Is that what they're going for? Okay, fine. Then if that's the case, we'll have to play more towards dragon and just get prio and bot, so that we can try to do that while they're smashing top side. Are they going to play down towards bottom? Okay, that's fine. That's good for us. We'll play more towards Herald, and we're just going to play the waiting game.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of the times when we did see Janna, it was very control, extreme control. And it's like, you're going to come to us through this way, or, this or that. Very, very situational, in my opinion. And it's just unfortunately with the weird meta that's going on right now,
Yeah.
pro level is just not gonna work for majority or if any of the teams.
Yeah. And yeah, if this is how they've decided they have to play, then yeah.
Yeah, because who knows, maybe LS would have pulled out a Jenna or something,
I mean, probably at some point.
but we'll never know.
No, we won't, and it's
Yeah.
fucking frustrating. I'm
Yeah.
really tired.
On that note, we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Never.
World.
Yep,
may
we'll also never know if Janna works, or if Soraka works, or if Karma works, or if it's only tanks that work. Because no one's gonna fucking pick anything but goddamn tank support now. It's so frustrating, man. Unless they pick Yumi and then get shit on.
Because
One
you
Yumi's side or a con every time.
because you detach and then your frickin' Ezreal ease away from you.
He's away from you.
And then you get knocked up, so there goes any sort of reattaching.
Oh man. Who
Because
knew
you're
that
Yumi,
birds?
you don't take flash.
Who knew that birds were actually the predators of cats?
I mean, I'm sure we've all seen videos of large birds of prey picking up cats and dogs, so
Not mountain lions.
Yumi is not a mountain lion.
No, she is not.
Yumi's barely a house cat. That Rakan's a pretty big bird person compared to that house cat.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to see if there's any sort of fundamental changes from any of the teams going into
Like I said,
summer split.
I'm not holding my breath, but
Well,
if
don't
anything
forget,
does happen, we can just hope that
TL.
we
I
might
mean,
see a big meta shift with the
next-
durability patch.
Next week, I think
First is out.
We will.
we'll talk
First
about
didn't. I don't know. Oh, it's so sad.
yeah. So I think on that note, I think we'll start drawing this to an end.
Yeah.
That not that I'm not upset about like the rambling that we're doing, but the next episode, we'll talk about some of the LCS roster swaps that have happened. Maybe some of the LEC stuff, if there's been any surprises with like the LCK and whatnot. And I think what would be kind of fun to do in next episode, so this will give everybody time except for Curtis, unless he listens to the episode. Try to think of a pick like the Janna that you would like to see potentially make its triumphant return, or potentially with all of the meta shifts that have happened outside of Gwen or Gangplank, or like the super popular picks you could go with, of like your champion that's like, okay, this is what's going to happen per se, like this is what we're going to start seeing, or find like a surprise pick.
Okay.
And I think maybe we'll give maybe some freebie points or something if you pick someone that like shows up, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it's like an off the wall pick that shows up. If you show up and you're like, I think that Nautilus in bot lane, man. I'm gonna be like, all right, -2 points. You're already starting off bad.
You pick the obvious one.
I know it's not
points.
very popular, but
I think
All right.
I got a pretty surprise pick for top lane. There's this champion who uses scissors.
get out of here, dude.
Some bright blue hair,
Understand, okay? That's just a skin that happens. It's not really a champion. It's just a skin.
I mean, to be fair, she wasn't really playing top lane out before MSI. Just saying.
Yeah, for a reason too, because she. Yeah, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't even matter anymore. She won MSI pretty much single-handedly. Aside from the occasional Jax appearance.
Anyway, make sure you tune in to the next episode to see what our potential surprise pick that we would like to see show up in one of the regions. I think we'll also look at matchups in week 1 because I think
This should be posted by then.
yeah, because the season starts the 17th, and our episode will be the 19th. So all the games for that weekend should have been played by the time we record this. So make sure you get your picks in, and we'll see the disputes as the season starts kicking off, and we start talking team comps. That's when we really start getting after each other. If you notice, both arguments have been over picks. Just saying.
Yeah.
Picks and team comps. But make sure you tune in next time to see our wild predictions. We're going to keep track of all of that. And don't forget to do your potential rankings, your 1 through 10s for how you think summer is going to end.
Yeah, because I was hoping to see some more roster changes.
Yeah. So
because they're not locked. They're not locked yet, are they?
No,
I don't
not
think so.
yet.
So
Okay.
the things for people to show up next time, we're gonna have our 1 through 10 summer rankings. We're gonna have our week 1 predictions, and we're gonna have our surprise pick that we would like to see show up in one of the regions. So
Have
make
my
sure
surprise pick that will never show up.
you at this point you got to pick Janet. Just saying. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Any comments we'll bring up if you have a different opinion than us, and we'll talk about it. And either we'll tell you you're wrong or we'll admit we're wrong. But just to let you know, we'll never admit we're wrong.
We're wrong, yeah.
That'd be a sign of weakness.
All right. Have a good night. And make sure you show up for the next episode. The next episode should be pretty exciting, especially with all of the rankings.